It's July 15th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the shooting at the Donald Trump rally. The FBI says the 20-year-old shooter acted alone in the assassination attempt on Trump, while President Joe Biden has ordered an independent security review on how the attack could have happened. Trump is on his way to Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. Marking the first North Korean Defectors Day over the weekend, President Yoon vowed to enhance support for North Korean defectors so that they're not forcefully repatriated and instead find their footing south of the border. The torch relay ahead of the Paris Olympics reached the French capital on Sunday as the country also celebrated military victories of the past at its Bastille Day parade. BTS member Jin carried a flame as the first torchbearer in the Louvre Museum section of the route. An investigation is underway in the U.S. into the 20-year-old gunman who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump over the weekend. The former president was injured in the shooting, but said ahead of the Republican National Convention, his presidential campaigning would continue as scheduled. Our Shin Ha-young has the latest.
The U.S. Secret Service is investigating the circumstances surrounding an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump during a rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday local time. Authorities identified the gunman who attacked Trump as Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old man from Pittsburgh. CNN reported that Crooks fired at Trump from a building rooftop outside the rally security perimeter before he was killed by the Secret Service. The FBI says he acted alone using an AR-style rifle believed to have been bought by his father, and there are currently no public safety concerns. According to the New York Times, Crooks came from a typical middle-class background with mixed political views. He was registered as a Republican, while his mother was a Democrat and his father a Libertarian. President Joe Biden addressed the attempt assassination on Sunday, calling for the nation to come together as one and announcing an independent security review to investigate how the attack occurred.
I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened, and we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well.
Trump's aide said he was in great spirits and doing well after the shooting, which resulted in an injury in his right ear. According to the Butler County District Attorney, one spectator at the rally died in the shooting while another is in a serious condition. Trump took to social media some 13 hours after the shooting to thank those who prayed for him and urged Americans to stand united and show their true character as Americans. Trump also stated he would stick to his schedule despite the shooting. He arrived in Milwaukee on Sunday for the Republican National Convention, where he is set to be named the party's presidential nominee later this week. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
And South Korea has condemned the act of political violence against the former U.S. President Donald Trump at his election rally in Pennsylvania. President Yoon on Sunday posted on X that he is, quote, appalled by the hideous act of political violence, adding that he wishes Trump a speedy recovery. Yoon spokesperson Kim Soo-kyung later released a statement saying that Seoul strongly condemns political violence in any form. She said South Koreans will stand in solidarity with Americans and offer comfort to those who have been alarmed by the shooting incident. Other world leaders, including Britain's new Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also sent regard to the former U.S. president and criticized the act of violence. Back in January, South Korea passed a law to make July 14th North Korean Defectors Day. This was to help those who fled the North settle in South Korea and to raise awareness of the human rights violations going on the other side of the border. Now, it was celebrated for the first time on Sunday. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Tears and emotions filled the room as songs and messages celebrated the courage of North Korean defectors and their journey escaping North Korea, as well as giving encouragement to overcome their struggles and adapt to a new life in South Korea. Sunday was the first ever North Korean Defectors Day, with the main celebration at the former presidential Blue House. President Yoon, who signed a law to designate July 14th as a day celebrating defectors, promised to take care of those who came seeking freedom as he hosted around 200 North Korean defectors.
우리 정부는 자유를 향한 여러분의 발걸음이 헛되지 않도록 하겠습니다. 대한민국을 찾는 북한 동포를 어떠한 일이 있더라도 단 한 분도 돌려보내지 않을 것입니다.
He also condemned North Korea's human rights violations, referring to the first of its kind government publication, the report on North Korean human rights from last year, and said resolving this issue will be the foundation of the unification. And taking care of the defectors is the beginning, with around 34,000 North Korean defectors currently in South Korea.
탈북민 여러분을 포용하는 것이 북한 인권을 개선하는 첫 걸음이 될 것입니다. 저는 오늘 대한민국이 여러분께 희망의 보금자리가 될 수 있도록 정착, 역량, 화합의 세 가지 약속을 드리고자 합니다.
In terms of settlement, President Yoon vowed to improve the settlement support fund and help defectors with supported savings accounts. For capability, the government will provide them with more employment opportunities with benefits for companies that hire defectors. And finally, harmony. The government is looking to tackle discrimination while offering mentoring programs with already arrived defectors helping newcomers. Yoon also re-emphasized that as North Korea are South Korean citizens, protecting them is essential for achieving true unification. In the meantime, people outside of South Korea also joined in with messages of encouragement.
We have had the privilege of meeting a few North Korean defectors and
some of the strongest people in the world, strongest and most courageous people in the world. And we're really proud of you and just want to encourage you to follow your dreams.
In the meantime, President Yoon also met with the Little League Baseball team of young North Korean defectors, the Challengers, to send them off for a trip to the U.S. President Yoon congratulated them on their journey to the birthplace of baseball, the United States, as future national team players of a free and unified Korea. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
But long before this official recognition, there are some North Korean defectors who've worked hard to have their stories heard. Our cultural correspondent Song Yu-jin tells us more. The play 10th Spring follows 10 years of Hyun Soo-jung's life in South Korea after defecting from North Korea. Adjusting to a new home isn't easy. But with determination, Soo-jung graduates from university and lands a stable job. The play's director, Oh Jin-ha, is a North Korean defector himself, escaping the regime more than 20 years ago.
I feel that when people hear about North Korean defectors, they think, oh, how unfortunate for them. It's always their story. Through this play, I wanted to change that narrative.
10th Spring is a collaboration between a North Korean director and South Korean actors.
We had about 3 weeks to discuss and share real stories about North Korea before our table reading. This helped me understand the struggles, criticism, and misunderstandings North Korean defectors face. I learned a lot more about their lives than just historical facts.
Unfortunately, not all North Korean artists and performers have the opportunity to pursue their careers like director Oh has.
Many North Korean artists stopped their creative activities after coming to the South due to economic challenges. We tried to serve North Korean artists 2 years ago, but it was difficult because not many were continuing their careers here.
This highlights the urgent need for government-led support.
We need to create an environment where these artists can freely pursue their artistic dreams. We'll reach out to more North Korean defectors who are artists to help them connect with others in their field and understand the support they need.
This will give these artists more opportunities to pursue their passions and share their talents. The 10th Spring will be performed 2 more times this year at the Uniculture Center in Seoul's Gangseogu district on September 21st and December 7th. Song Yu-jin, Arirang News. President Yoon Suk-yeol last Friday wrapped up his week with visits to Hawaii and then Washington, D.C. to attend the annual NATO summit for the third consecutive year. Although South Korea is an invited partner country, there was a significant interest in its role in global security amid growing concerns over the recent treaty between North Korea and Russia forging economic and military ties. We have our correspondent Oh Soo-young, who was there to cover the week-long summit treaty. Welcome back, Soo-young.
Always good to come back here, Tammy.
So the summit, the NATO summit, was again all about Russia and North Korea and their deepening military ties. Let's start with that.
Right, sure. So President Yoon had a very clear message that Russia and North Korea's military collaboration poses a threat to the broader international community, not just the Korean Peninsula and the Indo-Pacific. So North Korea's ammunition helps sustain Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and any economic or military aid from the Kremlin to the Kim Jong-un regime would increase its nuclear and missile threat in the Indo-Pacific. Now, this resonated with NATO leaders as they acknowledged the connection between Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic security. That's why there was a significant spotlight on NATO's Indo-Pacific 4 partners invited to the summit for the third straight year. This included South Korea, Japan, Australia and New Zealand. And if you remember, I covered the summit last year as well and saw the gathering of these 4 leaders myself. But this year, their presence was not just a sideline event. The Indo-Pacific countries were very much at the centre of the conversation in addressing the war in Ukraine and the threat of authoritarian players like Russia, North Korea, China and Iran aligning ever more strongly against the free world.
Well, in that sense, President Yoon made a pretty clear stance for the free world, and his pledges really stood out, right?
Yes, it really did. And even before his arrival in Washington, D.C., he, of course, stopped over in Hawaii, where he visited the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. And that was noted with great interest by global media as he reaffirms Ho's commitment to regional and global peace as well as stability, and sent a really strong message of strength and force against the Russia-North Korea axis. In D.C., he and President Biden also welcomed the guidelines adopted in the Bilateral Nuclear Consultative Group, which was formed last year to enhance South Korea's involvement in the United States nuclear planning and operations, with leader-level consultations as well. And at the NATO summit itself, President Yoon gained solidarity from the 32-member bloc, as well as Indo-Pacific countries, which both condemned the Russia-North Korea treaty in their joint statements. And in his speech to the NATO allies and partners, Yoon said that it's because of enablers like North Korea supplying Moscow that the war in Ukraine has stretched on. He then pledged to double South Korea's contribution towards a trust fund for Ukraine that provides non-lethal military supplies. Of course, President Yoon has said that Seoul will consider arming Ukraine, but that really does depend on the level of Moscow and Pyongyang's military cooperation.
So we may want him to send weapons directly to Ukraine, but that would be against South Korean law. They would have to change the law first. And aside from maybe the U.S. and others, I see few countries doing as much as South Korea to replenish European armaments that are supplying Ukraine. And certainly he's saying all the right things and contributing humanitarian relief and arms to the countries helping Ukraine.
President Yoon also met with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, and they welcomed the agreements that South Korea made with the 32-member alliance. First of which was sharing South Korea's information on North Korea's weapons, as well as NATO's analysis of those weapons found in Ukraine. Now, that would help them build a clearer picture of how to respond to the Russia-North Korea collaboration, as well as draw up more elaborate measures. Also, mutually recognizing airworthiness certificates, that means that NATO is going to accept South Korea's domestically certified aircraft. This would, of course, increase interoperability between the two sides, as well as market opportunities.
On top of that, Yoon's office said it will increase cooperation with NATO countries economically. Tell us more about that.
Right, so President Yoon held more than 10 sideline bilaterals during the NATO event. And as South Korea has this diverse portfolio of advanced industries and technologies that link to both national and economic security, it offers many areas of partnership, from co-developing defence technology to building infrastructure with Finland, nuclear energy plants with the Czech Republic, space cooperation with Sweden, and as you can see, the list really goes on.
South Korea is still structured around that imminent threat from North Korea, which they live with every day. only 26, 27 miles away from Seoul. So I think South Korea brings an awareness and a battle readiness that maybe other countries don't have, plus its superior technology. I think it's the 10th largest arms exporter in the world and is really helpful in backfilling some of the European armaments that have been shipped to Ukraine. I know it's against South Korean law to send weapons directly into a conflict zone, but as we've seen in the case of its exports to Poland, it can help backfill those countries which are supplying Ukraine. So whether it's technology, battle readiness, experience fighting a communist neighbor, and or its superior arms industry, South Korea has a lot to offer NATO.
Well, it seems that Seoul and Brussels' relationship will become closer and closer across, a wide range of common interests.
I would definitely say so. And South Korea being part of the IP4 grouping, it's already working with NATO on its flagship projects in supporting Ukraine cyber defense, countering disinformation, as well as artificial technology. And going forward, President Yoon also suggested that they strengthen their cooperation and work more broadly across fields like the global south, maritime security, cyber defense, non-proliferation, and so on. So I think there's already a lot going on, but there's much more to be done.
Definitely. All right, Seong, thank you as always for your report, and welcome back again.
Thanks for having me, Tammy.
The third plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party kicks off on Monday for 4 days behind closed doors in Beijing. And what is one of the Chinese Communist Party's most important political meetings? It will be presided over by President Xi Jinping and is expected to focus on deepening economic reforms, especially as the country is struggling to fully recover after COVID. The government is also expected to discuss its intention to support and foster high-tech industries and its AI development policy. In addition, in a bid to revitalize the real estate market, financial support and tax reform may be discussed. Now, the third plenum is the third of 7 plenary sessions held during the party's 5-year term. Training hospitals across South Korea are scheduled to confirm whether or not trainee doctors will return to work, with outstanding resignation letters to be processed starting today. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Training hospitals across the country will finally submit and process resignation letters written by trainee doctors on Monday. However, before that, training hospitals sent text messages to trainee doctors requesting a final decision by noon the same day. If a resignation is confirmed or if there is no response, the hospital will process the letters and finalize the number of junior doctors not returning for work. The trainee doctors who refused to return since taking part in a massive walkout nearly 5 months ago are saying that the medical school admissions quota hike issue has not been fundamentally resolved. Despite this, the government is looking to speed up the process in order to confirm the number of trainee doctors to be recruited for the second half of the year. Despite the deadline issued by the government, trainee doctors do not believe many of their colleagues will return. According to the government, as of last Thursday, only 69 out of a total of 10,506 trainee doctors in all 211 training hospitals who submitted resignation letters had their resignation accepted. Also, the percentage of trainee doctors working at hospitals stood at 8%. A so-called blacklist of trainee doctors and medical students who have returned to work or classes was revealed online, further pressuring trainee doctors and medical students to continue their collective action despite Monday's deadline. The government said it will investigate the matter as it seeks to avoid a further vacuum within the country's medical system. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Si-young, and this is The World Now. With just over 10 days left until the Paris Olympic Games, the Olympic torch relay arrived in the French capital on Sunday after some 2 months of traveling through France and its overseas territories. Former French international footballer and current coach of the French Olympic squad, Thierry Henry, kicked off the relay for the first leg on the famed Champs-Élysées Avenue. The flame also passed landmarks such as Arc de Triomphe, the Grand Palais, the Petit Palais, the Jardin de Luxembourg, and finally the Louvre. And it was in that last leg of the relay that South Korea got in on the act, with Jin from K-pop group BTS becoming the first torchbearer on the Louvre Museum section, where he was greeted by screaming fans. The first day of the relay through Paris coincided with Bastille Day, France's national day, adding to the festivities in the city, where tourists and locals alike celebrated the Olympic spirit. The 2024 Paris Olympics run from July 26th to August 11th, while the Paralympic Games will follow from August 28th to September 8th. In football, Spain scored a late goal to beat England in the final of the UEFA European Championship. The 2-1 victory in Berlin on Sunday evening local time gave Spain its 4th European crown. Substitute Mikel Oyarzabal scored the winning goal with 86 minutes on the clock. After a goalless first half, Spain's rising star, 17-year-old Lamine Yamal, delivered an assist for fellow winger Nico Williams to score the first goal of the game on 47 minutes. England's Cole Palmer equalised in the 73rd minute before Spain's late winner. Spain have dominated this year's Euros in Germany, winning all of the 7 games they played in the tournament. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza said that 141 Palestinians have been killed and some 400 injured in Israeli airstrikes over the weekend. One of those airstrikes on Saturday reportedly killed 90 people in the designated safe zone of Al-Masawi, a large refugee camp west of Khan Yunis. Israel said that Saturday's airstrike targeted Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif and killed the senior Hamas commander Rafa Salama. The airstrike sparked protests across the West Bank and drew condemnation from Jordan and Egypt. Rwanda's general election begins on Monday, with the country's incumbent president Paul Kagame widely expected to win a 4th term. 66-year-old Kagame, who has served as Rwanda's president since 2000, faces only 2 political rivals, both with weak campaigns and little support. 6 other potential candidates were not cleared to run by the state-run Electoral Commission. Kagame won nearly 99% of the vote in the country's last election in 2017. A 2015 referendum lifted term limitations for presidents, technically allowing Kagame to remain in power until 2034. It also shortened presidential terms from 7 to 5 years. While Kagame's regime has been criticized by rights groups as autocratic for muzzling the media, stifling political opponents, and backing rebel groups in neighboring Congo, Kagame enjoys popular support at home.
Good morning. The new week is starting off on a rainy note on Jeju, with a monsoonal front dropping showers on the island, which should spread to Jeollado and Gyeongsang-Namdo provinces. Jeju could see 30 to 80 millimeters of rain today. The south coast will also receive heavy showers, with 20 to 30 millimeters of downpours an hour expected. Meanwhile, inland regions will see passing rain with 5 to 60 millimeters in the forecast. So the moisture in the air will be combined with that heat, bringing feels-like temperatures a couple of degrees higher this afternoon. And it's chobok today, the onset of a searing heat wave, with a heat advisory in place for the capital area, Chungcheongdo and Sejong City. Seoul gets up to 31 degrees. Daejeon and Chuncheon should see a high of 30 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Now, monsoon rain looks to spread to more regions tomorrow. In central regions, we'll see heavier monsoon rain this week. Jeju, however, will see fewer showers, but will be hotter this week. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Until then, goodbye.
한국에 오면 먹어야죠. 먹어도 끝이 없는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니? 웰컴. 엄청난 에너지를 춤으로 뿜어내는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니?
시장입니다. 한국 스탠바이. 한국 스타트.
The president also remains committed to boosting Korea's ties with its global partners on the sidelines of this latest.
To discuss the current security environment.
The United Nations most powerful body on global security, expressing hope.
Stock markets around the world have taken a hit. Speculation that the U.S. Federal Reserve
Arirang.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Arrow straight through my heart.
Children's laughter, hope, dream. K-animation belongs in them. Interesting and valuable story that transcends between everyday life and dream. Surprising spectacle where imagination becomes real. an array of subjects catering from infants to adolescents. For our story to reach all corners of the world. K-animation makes healthy laughter for children.
We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Monday, July 15th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and this is News Generation. Today, we're joined by Kwon Ji-yeon.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, and Im Sang-yeop.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you both. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online. We begin in France, where there is less than 2 weeks to go until the opening ceremony of the Paris 2024 Olympics. The Seine River will host swimming events. Now, in an effort to ease concerns about its water quality, France's sports minister Amélie Oudéa-Castéra took a swim in the river on Saturday. According to Paris City Hall, as of Saturday, the river had been clean enough to swim for most of the past 12 days. Heavy rainfall over the past few weeks in the region had raised the Seine's pollution levels as untreated sewage washed into the river. Moving on, back here in Korea, the country's most popular lottery, Lotto, saw a record-breaking number of first-place winners last week. Since it started in 2002, there have never been as many winners, matching all 6 numbers as the 63 winners. This surpasses a previous record of 50 winners in 2022. Each winner is expected to receive approximately 310 million Korean won, which is around $225,000 US. On the cultural front, Inside Out 2 has become the most watched Pixar film in Korea. According to the Walt Disney Company, the film has sold over 7.37 million tickets as of Saturday, surpassing the studio's 2023 release Elemental, which sold 7.24 million tickets. The sequel to the 2015 hit Inside Out continues to explore the life of teenage Riley and the personifications of her emotions like joy, sadness, and disgust. Despite being an animated film, the series has resonated deeply with millennials and Gen Z. So here in the studio, as part of this generation, did you also enjoy this film, and why do you think this has garnered a huge popularity among our generation?
Yeah, so I watched the film several weeks ago, and I really liked it, although I didn't watch the first movie, Inside Out. So today I'm not going to make a spoiler or anything, but Inside Out 2 is a movie I think that both children and adults can relate to. And this is also one of the strengths that Pixar has. So if you see the movie, you will find the protagonist, Riley, in her puberty. She makes a bunch of mistakes, which all boys and girls tend to make during that age group. And she comes across this new emotion called anxiety as she gets older.
Right.
Now, this film is especially more appealing to adults than children, I think. The first Inside Out was released in 2015, and 10 years have passed since then. So the audience literally grew up with Riley, and this specialty triggers the mixed feelings inside us. And there you go, just like the movie title.
Right. I think that the audience definitely resonated more because, as Han-young mentioned, we kind of grew up with Riley over the past 9 years, and it also shows a wide array of emotions that we're feeling a lot in our daily lives. Now to you, Ji-yeon, did you also watch the film? Did you enjoy it?
Not yet, but I'm planning to watch with my son, Sue. But the first one I have watched back in the days, and I do believe that many people like this movie, Inside Out too, because it shows the real emotional struggles of teenagers and the young generation MZers. The character of anxiety mirrors the common feelings of stress and competition faced by many Koreans here. The film's emotions feel real and relative to our life because they accurately capture the complexities of growing up and navigating these kind of intense emotions. And the film lets viewers see their own emotions depicted on screen, which brings a sense of reassurance.
Right. Well, I haven't seen both films, so I think I might make the time and then watch the series soon. Right, and that was our news feed for this Monday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Today we're going to talk about fashion. Take a look at the screen to find out more.
Today is chobok, the first of the 3 hottest days of the year here in Korea. Summer means we have a lot of wardrobe options from shoes to clothes. But for office workers, all these choices can sometimes be a bit of a headache.
So we're in the middle of summer right now here in Korea. The weather is really hot. It's becoming more humid every day. So I want to ask you guys, first off, what kind of clothes do you like to wear or usually wear during this time of the year?
Well, as the peak of summer approaches and the weather gets hotter, I personally find skirts to be much cooler than trousers. So I prefer wearing skirts, while shorts are obviously cooler. I still wear long trousers or midi long dresses, skirts for work out of respect, balancing professionalism with personal comfort during warmer weather. And also love wearing loose dresses, not really short ones in the summer, because they are both comfortable and stylish, and they're also good to wear on air. And they not only keep the cool, that is, but also reflect my personal style preferences for relaxed and stylish attire, keeping cool while looking cool.
Keeping cool while looking cool.
Right.
Right. Now, what about you, Sang-yeong?
First of all, I prefer winter over summer
why?
because I'm prone to heat and I sweat a lot. Okay, so around this time of the year, I usually wear shorts, and sometimes I even wear sleeveless tops when I work out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as for shoes, I prefer sandals or slippers. But I don't wear them, of course, when I work because, as you know, my job is a conference interpreter, and most of the venues are taking place in hotels or government offices where I have to look formal. So in that case, I mostly wear ties and formal suits.
Which is what you're wearing today.
Exactly.
Now, based on your answers, I think that you both are figuring out what should I wear to work, or can I wear this to work? And this can feel really, this is one of the common questions that the millennials and Gen Zs are facing right now. Now, especially here in Korea, because in the past, most of workers, especially office workers here in the country, tended to adopt what we call a business look, which is shirts and trousers for men, dresses or long skirts for women, regardless of the weather. But it seems like this strict office code is fading a lot here in Korea, right?
That is right, that is correct. Well, many companies in Korea are adopting more relaxed dress code. Well, last year, POSCO implemented a casual dress code, joining other companies in this trend. SK Group has allowed casual dress since 2000. This is the first company to implement flexible dress codes, and most major companies like Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics have followed suit. Unless you work in a job that requires a uniform or involves meeting clients, most companies now allow casual dress. So from an employee's perspective, this is much more liberating, and it's also an attracting benefit for the younger generation when choosing a company. And I personally find that dressing casually at work not only enhances comfort and productivity, but also reflects a modern and flexible workplace culture that values employees, individuality.
I see. Now, Sang-yeong, is this also a change that you're noticing in Korea?
Yeah, definitely. So there was a time when all the offices in Korea made the employees to wear ties and suits, but now the dress protocols in these offices are also changing. So except for special occupations like flight attendants or interpreters like me, companies are now becoming more open to less formal styles, and I think this would be very convenient for employees because they wouldn't have to worry about or spend too much time in the morning.
That's always hard to choose,
exactly,
right?
Thinking about what to wear to work.
Right. Now, despite a lot of companies, more companies here in Korea adopting the no dress code, I think the tricky part is that even though there are no dress codes, what's considered appropriate for work can vary by company and also depending on the worker, right?
Yeah, so it is true that more companies are turning toward shifting their gears to freer outfits and dress codes. However, if you look at the details for each company, it is kind of different. So for example, Samsung Electronics allow its staff have to wear shorts in the office, whereas POSCO prohibits the workers from wearing shorts. And there was a recent survey on how the MZers view this changing dress code trend, and 51% of the respondents insisted that staffs need to keep the minimum formality even though there is no strict dress code, whereas the other 49% said that employees should have the right to wear what they want.
So the stat kind of shows that millennials and Gen Z, these younger generation workers, do consider, they actually still emphasize somewhat of a formality in the office. So I want to ask you, Julia, what does the younger generation think as appropriate office attire here in Korea?
Well, most Gen Zs consider everyday clothes or business casual attire suitable for a casual dress code. However, a significant number also find sportswear and hats acceptable. So let's take a look at what MZs think about casual dress codes. According to a survey by Catch, which is an employment content platform, 1,783 MZers were asked about their views on casual dress. The results show a wide range of preferences. The survey reveals that the younger generation has shown a broad tolerance for casual dress. The majority, 37%, consider items like jumpers or sweaters and jeans as fitting in the category of smart casual. 31% view shirts, blouses and slacks or trousers business casual, and 21% opt for a more relaxed casual look with hoodies, shirts and shorts, while 11% are comfortable with even more laid-back options such as hats and track shoes or jogging suits, making them part of the very casual category. So it's quite clear that MZ generation has a diverse range of preferences when it comes to dressing casually.
I definitely think that the younger generation is more tolerable when compared to the previous generations on what kind of fashion or attire is appropriate at an office setting. So you guys both represent those in their 20s and 30s, millennials and Gen Z. So let's hear about what you think. So we're now going to do a short O and X quiz on what's your definition of appropriate attire at work. So please raise the O and X sign based on your answer. So our first question is, number one, a male worker wears shorts when he's trying to get a document signed by his boss. What's your answer? 1, 2, 3? Oh, so Juyeon chose X, Sang-hyuk chose O. Differing answer. So let's first start by listening to Juyeon.
Definitely not. No. Meeting a senior, meeting who is older than you and who is a CEO, and visiting his office in order to get a document signed, but wearing shorts. That is inappropriate. I do believe so. It's kind of important to dress in a way that shows respect and professionalism at the same time. And shorts may not convey that seriousness if you wear shorts in front of them.
Right. I think I've never seen like a male reporter or male employees in our country Arirang wearing shorts when they come to work. So I kind of get where this point is coming from. Now, Sang-hyuk, you chose O, right?
Right. So if it's really hot, then I think male employees should also be allowed to wear shorts. What I found interesting is that it is considered appropriate for the female employees to reveal their legs, but when the male employees reveal one's legs or bare foot, then it is comparatively considered inappropriate in Korean society. And also, did you guys know that the government offices and public organizations limit their air conditional temperatures during summertime?
To how much degrees Celsius?
Yes, so they have to maintain the room temperature at 28 degrees Celsius or above, but I'm sure we can all agree that 28 degrees is still hot.
Right, so hot.
Yeah, so if you are working in one of these public facilities, then I think wearing shorts should be allowed because it's just too hot.
Right, when thinking about the temperature and that limit, I think, it can be acceptable for male workers to wear shorts. Now, moving on to our second question, number 2, wearing sandals at an office where your clients often visit. 1, 2, 3. So you both chose X. Let's first hear from Juyeon.
Well, to be honest, I'm wearing sandals right now. My answer is
But we can't see.
No, you can't see that. But I do think that sandals showing toes aren't suitable for an office where clients visit occasionally because it may not give you a professional impression to your client. Open-toe sandals can appear too casual and might distract from the seriousness of business meetings.
I see. And Sang-hyuk, what do you think?
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Juyeon said. So if there are no client meetings scheduled on that day, then I think it will be okay to wear sandals or slippers. But if you have a client meeting, then I think you should wear proper shoes, because clients are like the guests to the company, and their visit also determines the success or failure of a business. So if a client enters the room and if he sees the counterpart wearing slippers or flip-flops, then he would feel kind of offended.
Right, because when you're facing a client, you're not only representing yourself, you're also representing your company. So I think that it's better to overdress than underdress when you're meeting a client. Now, our last question, number 3, a top that shows cleavage at a more relaxed office environment where most workers are in their 20s and 30s. 1, 2, 3.
I'm kind of in between.
In between, and then O. So let's start with why you chose O.
Well, in an office with a young and relaxed atmosphere, I think it would be fine to wear some clothes that you would like, because it matches the office culture, and it's important for employees to feel comfortable, and this reflects the office's informal dress code and informal vibe, which can boost morale and creativity of each staff member.
Right, if a majority of your colleagues are wearing a typical style, then why not follow that style, right? And then Sang-hyuk, you chose in between. Why is that?
Right, so I think it depends on where your office is located. So I found out that in the Western culture, it is considered rather okay for a woman to reveal her chest, but it's a different story here in East Asia. While it is okay to wear miniskirts or reveal one's legs, it is considered inappropriate to reveal one's torso, and I think this is just a cultural difference that we have. So if you are working in a foreign office located here in Korea, then I guess it's okay to wear one of the shirts that reveals some part of your chest. But if you're working in a rather more conservative office, like government offices, then you would definitely receive a sharp glare from your boss.
Right. So I think based on our OX quiz, the conclusion is it really depends on your office culture and what kind of attire your colleagues are choosing. Now, let's find out what our viewers also think. We asked them how much skin exposure is acceptable at the office in the summertime, and here's what 3 of them said. Leon says Singapore doesn't have specific laws dictating how much skin you can expose even on hot days. However, it's always good to be mindful of public decency and cultural sensitivities. DK says as long as the private parts are covered, people can wear however little they want here in Canada. Nella says in Sweden, when you're out in public, you're allowed to dress how you want to, but make sure to have private parts covered. You can show off your full legs, belly, arms, and shoulders. So we took a look at the comments from our viewers. Now, for more on the trend of no dress code policies and what the younger generation defines as appropriate office attire, we're going to invite an expert to join our discussion right after this break. So today we're joined by James Dykes, who's working as a fashion stylist here in Korea. Welcome, James, to the show.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning. So let's get straight into the questions, James. So as someone in the fashion industry, are you observing a growing trend of workplaces adopting a no dress code culture?
I think so. I definitely agree that when people returned to the office after COVID, there was definitely a shift, and companies started to be a little bit more flexible with what they deemed to be acceptable. I think as you were discussing, I think it has a lot to do with the industry. Obviously, creative industries have always been a little bit more flexible, but we are starting to see that corporate offices are moving in a little bit of a right direction, but I still think they are a little bit conservative on the day-to-day.
Still conservative. So James, how does Korea's no dress code office culture compare to that of other countries? And would you say it's more stringent or quite similar?
I think that Korea is definitely similar to other countries, but not as stringent. But the overall Koreans dress it has quite a high standard of looking and presenting well in Korea. So I think the Koreans always do have that in the back of their mind. If they want to further their career, their presentation is something that they are quite conscious of. Even in a casual setting, I think when they're dressing down, they still want to present well in their grooming standards and in the way that their clothes are presented. So even if it, as you discussed, even if it's something in a casual way, the t-shirt will be pressed, the fit will be appropriate maybe for a work setting. And even if it's jeans or a casual pant, they may have no damage or tears or wear to them and appear to be appropriate, I think, for a work setting.
Okay, James, then what advice would you give to the millennials and Gen Z for expressing their fashion styles at work?
Of course, I was interested to hear that millennials are happy to wear more sports clothes or more casual clothes. As you were discussing also, I think it's best to create a wardrobe that is your work clothes, even if they are in a casual way. It just means that when you're getting ready in the morning, those are the clothes that you feel comfortable with and that may be appropriate for the work setting that you are in. So you've already kind of made those decisions. And things that are always fashionable will never go out of style when you're putting that wardrobe together, I think. If it's like a polo shirt or a classic white shirt or something like a pair of jeans is really suitable for the workplace. And I guess adding your personality always comes down to adding a bit more color and a bit more kind of accessories or like optical that you feel comfortable that is appropriate for a work setting.
All right. Thank you so much for your answers, James. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So the younger generation is known for valuing self-expression, but we also want to stay within the boundaries. So very briefly, for our viewers, what kind of clothes would you like to suggest that could be both fashionable and appropriate at an office setting?
Well, TPO will be very crucial. Time, place and occasion. And, you know, it's like cooking. Too much spice can ruin the dish and too little can make it tasteless at the same time.
I see. Now, what about you, Sang-yeon?
Yeah, so you definitely need to balance out between formality and informality. That would be perfect in any occasion. So I would like to conclude by borrowing the quote from the famous fashion stylist Coco Chanel. Don't judge others by what they wear, but remember, others will judge you by what you wear.
Some very inspiring quotes from both of our panelists, and we hope our discussion today helps you select your summer wardrobe. And that's all the time we have for today, but NewsGen is here every morning from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Kwon Ji-yeon.
Thank you so much.
And Im Sang-yeon.
My pleasure.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토 스팟.